when you do your speaking engagements, do you still do speaking on Boomergeddon?
Oh, yes, I do. Uh-huh.
You do. So, what type of responses do you get? First of all, what type of audience do you get? Are they informed? Are they learning all of this for the first time? You know, what's their knowledge level? And then also, what is their response to what you're presenting?
Well, generally what I find is most people in my audience kind of sort of know what I'm talking about, and they kind of feel it in their gut that what we've got right now is unsustainable.
Yeah.
But they just haven't gone out to pull together all the details and fit them all together in one coherent piece. And that's basically what I've done. So they kind of know, and so the response is people might pick at that point or pick at that point, but by and large, I don't get too many people saying, I don't believe it. I don't think it could possibly happen. No, they all generally, as a rule, they kind of sit there and stunned silence for a few minutes, and then going to start asking questions. So, most people know that. You look at the public opinion polls. I mean, a vast majority of people think the country's headed in the wrong direction, and it's all about entitlements and government spending and big deficits and debts.
Okay. And what else are you focusing on now?
Well, I basically kind of wound down my marketing and promotion of Boomergeddon. I still do give an occasional speech, but now I'm back to doing what I was doing before, and that is I'm publishing a website called Bacon's Rebellion, which is about public policy issues on a state and local basis. I'm shifting from this big macro federal issues down to the state and local level, where we actually build our communities. So it's all about building more economically prosperous, sustainable, and livable communities to live in.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds great because, I mean, it's one thing to talk about the macro policies, but at the end of the day, it does come down to the more micro areas in order for change to actually be enacted. So that's great.
That's right.
What do you think about, I mean, you were saying you have some ideas about preparation, what people can actually do to prepare. I mean, what steps does someone actually take from this day moving forward?
Well, Jelani, you'll like this. The first thing I do is I tell people is find a good financial advisor. You know, because I don't give financial advice, and I don't tell people buy gold, short treasuries. I mean, I don't do any of that. So people need to find a good financial advisor to help them with how to manage the money. This is my argument: is that what we need to do is learn to live beneath our means. Americans are way over indebted.
Yeah, and
we're not saving nearly enough money. If we're not going to count on the federal government to do it, then we have to do it.
Right.
And the only way to do it is we've got to re-engineer our lifestyles, and that means to think systematically in a disciplined way about where we spend our money. We spend half our money on housing and transportation. So the book talks about lots of different ways to think about how much house do you really need? Where, do you have to live in the best neighborhood, or do you want to live out in the country? Do you want to live somewhere where you don't need a car for every single member of your family, where you can use some mass transit? Kind of think about these basic questions. So talk about health care. I mean, if you want to cut your expenses, one way to do it is by staying healthy, because even with medical insurance, you still pay a lot of out-of-pocket expenses. So stay healthy. Well, what does that mean? Well, the most important thing you can do to stay healthy is it's no secret. You got to exercise and you've got to eat right. And so now, if you want to eat right, you can probably economize on your family budget by stop buying junk food.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things all fit together. I mean, there's other little things in terms of, managing your utilities. I mean, when does it make sense to put solar panels on your roof? And, you can cut your electrical expenditures and things like that. So we go through the whole idea of re-engineering your lifestyle, and ultimately it gets down to, it's not just a technique. It's not just, here's a gimmick. It's about thinking about differently about what do we really even want out of life.
Yeah.
And so it's like, does happiness in life come from acquiring more stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a bigger house, fancier granite countertop,
right.
that extra car that trading in your Jeep for a BMW. I mean, is that where happiness really comes from, or does it come from cultivating your relationships and with your family and your friends and having being part of your community and ultimately happiness comes from your relationships with other people? I think it's not exactly a revelation. And so what I argue is that we can be just as well off and just as happy with our life by getting ourselves out of the rat race and I call it the tax time deficit treadmill. So I mean, one of the problems, everybody's stressed out because they're trying to make more money. But then when the more money you make, the more taxes you pay, so you don't really get to keep it all. And then, one of the things that happens when you're making more money, you're working harder, you're a two-income family, you've got kids, and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to cut the lawn, I'll hire someone else to cut the lawn. I don't have time to babysit the kids, I'll hire someone from daycare. And so what happens, you outsource a lot of your domestic functions, and you pay money. And so ultimately what you find you're doing, a lot of people are doing, is they're working harder just so they can pay more taxes and pay more people to do their domestic stuff for them. And, and they're totally stressing out. So you put all this together, it's like, well, maybe it's time to step down a little bit and rethink about what's important in life. Maybe we don't need as much stuff, and maybe we'd feel a lot more comfortable, secure, and less stressed out if we didn't have all that debt. So the first thing you do is you pay down your debt, and once you do that, then you start saving and building your nest egg. It's that simple. It's for what you do. I mean, whether you buy annuities, you buy T-bills, or you buy dividend-yielding stocks, or whatever. I turn the audience over to you, Jelani.
Excuse me?
I turn the audience over to you in terms of how you invest all that money once you've got it.
Oh, indeed.
I'll let you tell them the beauties of, annuities and long-term care insurance and all those things.
Well, as you were saying, I mean, as far as just being healthy in order to cut down on your medical expenses, because even if you do have medical insurance, you're still going to have tons of out-of-pocket costs, and that's exactly where we come in order to cover those out-of-pocket costs, which maybe 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 times can bankrupt somebody, just because they do not have that safety net. They have not been saving and they don't have any cushion. So when they fall, even if it's not really that much of a push, when they fall, they're landing on hard ground, and that can typically just break them. It's what you're saying right now it's my favorite part, because for me, the information, I mean, it can be intellectually pleasurable and entertaining. Although for me, really the information is more just the necessary step so that I can take proper action. And that's where the most fun is for me. For example, you were talking about just getting rid of stuff. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, and something that I've been doing recently, is just getting rid of stuff. Just periodically looking at all the things that I have and just going to each piece and saying, is this essential? Is this essential? If I could only have X things, I mean, would I be satisfied? Would I be happy with this? No? Then it's gone. And then I feel a lot better once I get rid of it. And I know that the immediate effect, let's say, for example, I do not feel better and I do feel like a piece of me is being tossed away. Sure, that may be the immediate effect, although over time, the long-term effect, well, one, I'm going to feel much lighter. I'm going to be much less stressed, as you mentioned. And most importantly, perhaps, my finances will be much more free as well. Exactly.
I have a friend of mine who calls, has a term for what we've been through since World War II. Is basically, he calls it the era of mass overconsumption. And I think we're coming to the end, and mainly because we can't afford it anymore. But for exactly the reasons that you've outlined, people can actually find that once they begin to change their thinking and about the way they approach life, they can find it very liberating.
I agree with you. Well, thank you very much, Jim.
been a pleasure, Jelani. Good luck to you.
Thanks. And for more about Jim and Boomergeddon and the Bacon's Rebellion, we have Boomergeddon.com. So that's Boomergeddon.com. We also have Bacon's Rebellion. That's the Blogspot, Jim?
That's at Blogspot, yes.
Right.
baconsrebellion.blogspot.com.
Yep. So we have baconsrebellion.blogspot.com. We also have some YouTube videos of Jim doing his Boomergeddon presentation, which is interesting to watch and can make it much easier to consume this information and entertaining at the same time. So that way those individuals who are looking to put the pieces together and really have a firm foundation of knowledge to work from, you can just watch a video as opposed to possibly having to plug through written material. And you can find that right on YouTube. Just type in Jim Bacon or Boomergeddon, and you will have your videos right there. So once again, thank you very much, Jim. And this is Jelani Asar from the Unfunded Liabilities Monster. That is usunfundedliabilities.wordpress.com. Thanks, Jim.
Bye-bye. Take care.
See ya.